with no, your brain doesn't recognize the word no.
Hello, high achiever. Welcome to the Inside Job Journey podcast. I'm Tiana, a certified professional coach. I work with highly effective and driven people that are always striving for more, helping them define what that more is and learning what they really want. In this podcast, I want to bring you on a discovery journey where you can learn more about what's driving you to never settle. Hello, high achievers. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Job Journey podcast. Today with me, my co-founder of the GrowthUP application and coaching business, Daniela Girniceanu. She's a transformational coach focusing on mindset. I'm so happy to have her here. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much, Tiana. Hello, everyone. It's an honor for me to be part of your podcast, and thank you so much for having me here.
So, Dana, we have been in the last 2 years on a journey together, and I think one of the things that we both connect with is how we grew up within a certain family that had very high expectations and very strict rules. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I want. At this point of life, it becomes easier and it becomes more aware. So yeah, I have been growing up in Romania, in a very, very small city with a family that was coming basically from a village. My grandparents were farmers, and this was very nice because you get to be connected now with the earth and with the basic living. But then as well, once you grow up, you realize how the environment is so impacting in how you become as a person, no, for good and not so good at the end of the day. So I have been growing up in a very modest family back in Romania, as I said, in a very small city, a family that was guiding itself by certain rules on how to be, always becoming the best, always trying to develop yourself in the best possible way, to become a successful person in life, always being careful on the opinion of the others on you, always being careful not to bother the others. So you had to have it all, but in a very smooth, quiet way, which this for a child at the end of the day, and not only because I think that even in the adult life, this has become a very huge weight on my shoulders. And more so, I think it was a quiet weight because I was not aware of how all these behaviors, learnings that I got from home, examples, at the end of the day were marking who I am, but they became part of who I am. And somehow they become me, and putting a barrier in between this me and actually the real me. I don't know if that makes sense.
It totally does. So somehow, what we are saying is that we grew up in an environment and we pick up things and we internalize so many things that they become part of us and they make us act or think in a certain way without us even realizing it. So if we think about things like you always have to have good grades, you always have to be your best self when you're in front of others, all those things, some ways are making us who we are today. So if I go somewhere, I still have that feeling of who I have to be to sit straight, to behave properly. And sometimes when I see kids acting out now, I'm just so kind, thinking about the mother or about the parents, and I think, wow, they can even have bad behaviors, but it's not so bad to be like that and to just push your limits. So some of those things stay with us for a very long time, and then at some point you realize that, how did you come to realize some of those beliefs or barriers that were in your way?
I'm going to make a short parenthesis here, if that's okay, because I would like to pick up on something that you said, no, on how the kids nowadays are. And I have to say that there was a moment when I was actually becoming jealous of these kids, because they are so like pure, and they are so extroverted and express whatever they want. So for me, this was something that I was looking up to, no, even if normally you are looking up to people that are older than you and are an example, but in my case it becomes to be the opposite. And I was this kind of a kid that was raised for 6 years by the grandparents in the village, because obviously back then in Romania the parents have to work. So if they were lucky to have parents that could take care of you, they were taking this, no, as an opportunity. So I was always raised with with my grandmother saying like, oh, you have to behave, you have to behave, you have to behave. So you have to behave, it was so internalized that I was not even aware that I don't know what is you have to behave. So I think that somehow this made me doubt in my teenager life and in my adult life of everything that I was doing, because you have to behave. It means that someone is expecting you to be in a certain way, but what is that way? And well, speaking about all these limiting beliefs, when I started to be aware of them, there was a point in my life that um, I started to be extremely stressed, and it was somehow feeling that is not matching how I'm behaving with most probably who I am or what I want. But at that point, I didn't understand. Like all my life, I was extremely focused on the career, no, and I took all these limiting beliefs with me from the childhood, and I was applying them in my professional work, because it has become my number one thing. No, my personal life was like whatever time it was left for it. So there was a point when I was so much stressing, and I think that I was also even somehow relating my boss with an authority figure, but like from my childhood, like my mother or like my grandmother. And there was a point that I was constantly on stress. I felt like, I don't know, I have to behave, no, but in the eyes of my boss, or I have to be the best, or I was struggling so much whenever something was not going out in the way I thought it was supposed to go out. So all this at the end of the day started to really weighed so much on my shoulders that I said, okay, there is a moment to do something. And I don't know how, I think it was through a friend at back then. It was like around almost 7 years ago, I think. Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago. And she was telling me about coaching, and she was even suggesting me a coach. So I said, okay, let me give it a try, because for sure something is not matching anymore here. And I started with coaching, and I started to have the session with this person, and I was amazed of how your childhood and everything that you have been getting from home, no, that in Romania we say that the first 7 years of your life are the most important, and they are building you as a person. And I was very proud, and I think I still am of what I achieved, because at the end of the day, your family and the environment is not like it's planning to hurt you, but it is as it is. And I was so impacted of the discoveries, no, on how all these small things were reflected right now in my adult life and how they are limiting me. And I was like, wow, this is a world that really is worth exploring because I, it's not matching anymore. I don't think I am like that. So let me dig in a bit more. That was a huge moment for me.
Mm. And what are some of the things that you had to work on to be able to, first of all, build that self-awareness and then act on it and change some of that narrative?
Hmm. First of all, I think it was the fact that I was only focusing of what is missing because these limiting beliefs of being the best or not being good enough. Um, I, I was using it everywhere in my life. So whatever I was doing good was parked there, was never remarked for me. Whatever was missing or could have done better was staying with me for days and days and days and days. And there it was the revelation in those coaching sessions. And then I was like, wow, it looks like I never do anything good. There is always something missing, and it's so tiring to feel like in a constant race, and having the feeling that you are never going to reach the finish line. So, okay, I said at that point, there is something I've got to do about this, and I started like with a lot of exercises, on realizing on a daily basis. I had simple exercising, like I had to write down all the good things that I have done in that day. So it was a good point because it was forcing me to also focus on what I did well.
How hard was that?
Extremely hard. Oh my God, in the beginning, I was like, it's impossible. First of all, because I thought it's a waste of time, because it was good enough. Okay, let's throw in there and focus on what I have to improve. It was extremely hard, but it was also helpful because it helped me understand that I do good things
You do.
and I have value. And there were even days when I was doing more things that I was proud of than the opposite. And that was a huge change of mentality there. I was like, wow, maybe it's not that bad. Yet I also have to say that it's a process that really requires patience and consistency, because I think that once you have the revelation, you also have the motivation to do something. So in the first days, you are all in and you are writing down and so on. But then for me was difficult once I was not having an accountability partner for it. Because, for example, in the beginning, when I started with my coaching sessions, I was having every week. Then we started not to have them every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks with more space. And in the first week after the session, you are there motivated and yes, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But then it's fascinating how this builds self of yours, like all these years of unconsciously practicing your limiting beliefs are in the same unconscious way coming back. So if you don't keep your awareness and if you don't have someone to really check in these critical moments, it's easy to go back. And it happened to me many times.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that requires the most attention, it's really doing the work. It's because, yeah, self-awareness is great, but until you do the work, you are not really addressing it. And it requires time, it requires patience, it requires also self-kindness in a way, because you will go back and the patterns will emerge again and they will try to make you go back to the way things were, because sometimes it's just easier to continue to function as a human as you have always functioned. But um, in the work and in the growth. I think there is so much value that you need to be kind and to say, yeah, I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to like change everything in one day, but it's possible to change these patterns and to really learn to enjoy also the journey.
Absolutely, and be 100% convinced that you want to do that change, because sometimes, as I said, we put the effort and we believe we really want to switch it, and we see that it's possible, but whenever we are not finding the ways to keep on the process, maybe is because we don't really want. So we really have to integrate the feeling of, yes, okay, that was it for me, is actually not serving me anymore. I'm tired of hanging with this around me. I want to break free.
Break free, that's like a powerful image. It's like we sometimes we feel comfortable in our chains, and life goes on, and you are in this comfortable place, and you didn't even realize that you are in chains until you break them free, and you realize how liberating is to just live fully as yourself.
Absolutely. I think that um, for the brain itself is very comfortable to be in a comfort zone, to say, no matter how positive or negative this comfort zone is for you. I remember that in university I was having some friends. I had two cases where they were in a very toxic relationship, and they were always complaining and saying that, oh my God, I'm gonna get out of there, this is not serving me anymore. And then they seemed so convinced that I thought that they were gonna do it. And next day it was like, no, it's becoming better. So I think it's this self-lying or self-convincing that not everything is gonna be better. So I have to push and stay there, no pain, no gain. But at the end, until when is this no pain no gain belief gonna go? Because once you cross the line, then there is no gain for you, it's just the pain. But you just live with the hope that there is gonna be gain one day, that you kind of lose yourself. So I think that the moment you disconnect from yourself and you let yourself eaten up by the toxicity, is very difficult to break free. And on the contrary, if you become aware, and if you know there is not going to be an easy process, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, a change, no matter what kind of change it is not easy. And it's a long process, and it's a new way of adapting yourself, of knowing how to behave in this new reality. But at the end of the day, is for the best. But yet you have to stay there, consistent and committed, and accept from the beginning that yes, it's going to be a huge process. I'm going to suffer it a lot, but at the end, I'm going to see the gain.
So where are you now in this journey?
I have to say that I'm still in the process because is not a transformation is not something that comes from one day to the other. No, and I'm always comparing this self-development with the Pandora box. So every time you open the box, something new is coming out, something new is coming out. But I have to say that I am very far away from where I used to be. And I'm extremely happy and satisfied with it. I think that I have been able to discover myself, to understand who I am. I was able to let go of some of the beliefs, and to twist them, to say. And I saw that nothing happened but good things for me. And this somehow motivated me to keep on the journey. And yeah, I think I'm in a very good place, I have to say. I'm very happy to be here, but with the awareness that the journey is not over, and that at the end, someone was telling to me the other day, we are every day changing, no? So the more you change, the more you evolve, the more things are gonna pop up for you. And it's okay, because I think that it's also the beauty of the journey. You never get to become word. You are your best job to say, but it's also something fascinating to have the awareness and to say, okay, I have been realizing this on me. I know that is not serving me. There is something I want to do to change it. And then when you see the result, and when you have the feeling on you, it's nothing comparable to it.
And I love how you use the fact that you reframe some of those limiting beliefs. So when we think about things like I'm not enough, reframing it to I am who I am and I'm enough. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be right now. So things like this have really a big impact on our brain and how we think about things. And at the beginning, it's work, but then it becomes more natural to how we think, and we can reprogram our brains.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for me, it was funny because only recently I realized that whenever you start a sentence with no, your brain doesn't recognize the word no. So if I'm saying, for example, I don't want to be like my mother, then it's so fascinating how one day you realize that you are actually a mini version of your mother.
Mini version.
And I totally I put this as an example just to reinforce what you said, for sure. Like the brain is a fascinating part of ourselves, and yet has some standard functioning ways, but it's also an endless tool. You just have to know how to use it and how to twist it and how to understand it and work with it. And at the end, make it your best friend.
Oh my gosh, so hard for overthinkers to make the brain.
I know. When you go night in bed and your brain is like cannot stop. Yeah, it's hard,
Like
but
that time 5 years ago. Oh my gosh. Ah,
yeah.
good. Thank you so much, Dana. I think that we covered some very important aspects of any growth journey. And I think recognizing our limiting beliefs, recognizing patterns of our brain, and really taking action and accountability, even when it's hard. I think that's a really good takeaway of this episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
This episode is over. However, you can like, subscribe, and follow for more content. And I'm happy to announce an amazing giveaway. For every like and share, you will gain 5 points. Tag me on social media or send me a screen. And the top 3 engagers until end of December will have an amazing opportunity to work with me. First prize, 2 sessions of 45 minutes each to brainstorm and set up your 2023 goals. Achieve anything you want in the new year with my strategic support and review. Second prize, 1 session of 45 minutes to review your 2023 goals and 1 follow-up feedback via email. Third prize, share your goal via email and get feedback and suggestions in 1 week.